Living in the beautiful islands of Hawaii, we are surrounded by water. It is where we get our food, and it is also where many of us play, so it is important for us to keep our waters clean and safe. Because the storm water drainage system from Oahu's streets flows into our streams and ocean without being filtered or treated, we want to prevent as many pollutants as possible from entering the storm drains. Pollutants can harm the life in our environment and affect the quality of our drinking water. Polluting our waters is against the law. The federal government created the Clean Water Act to regulate the discharge of pollutants going into the waters of the United States and made it unlawful for any person to discharge pollutants without a permit. From the federal level, it is regulated by the state under the Department of Health, and it is City and County of Honolulu's responsibility to regulate the discharges that enter the city's storm drainage system. And the city enforces illegal discharges into their system. In this video, we will show you the proper way to dispose of fire sprinkler water so we do not release pollutants into the storm drain system. Since standpipe testing is required every 5 years and fire sprinkler testing is required annually, there typically is an accumulation of pollutants in the sprinkler system. Over time, the water in the pipe can contain pollutants such as heavy metals like mercury or lead, anaerobic bacteria which can cause diseases, nitrates, and much more. To ensure that no harmful agents go into our water system, proper steps are needed to prevent the pollutants from entering the storm drainage system. The first step is to prepare the project site to ensure the safety for the workers and the general public. If it is needed on the project, install traffic control to direct vehicles and pedestrians away from the area. During this step, the proper best management practice devices, or BMPs, should be installed at storm drains or inlets to ensure that no pollutants enter the drainage system. BMPs include, but are not limited to, silt fences, compost filter socks, and others. The next step is to attach the apparatuses onto the fire hydrant. Water from the fire hydrant is first flushed at street level to remove any possible debris in the hydrant. Then the hydrant connects to the pump, which sends water into the standpipe on the street level up to the manifold, which is typically on the roof. Once the hoses are hooked up correctly, carefully open the connection. For a standpipe test, the standpipe connection at the rooftop level and the inspector test valve are used for the annual test. As the pipes are being filled, make sure to have a container ready to collect the discharging water. The initial water coming out contains the polluted water from the pipes, also known as the first flush. The first flush contains pollutants such as heavy metals like mercury or lead, bacteria, nitrates, and much more, so avoid direct contact from the discharge. Continue collecting the water until it is visibly clear coming out of the hose. Whenever possible, dispose the first flush water into landscaped areas because they are natural filtration systems. If there are no landscape areas available, the first flush water must be disposed properly by a licensed liquid waste hauler. Do not dispose of this wastewater into storm drains, streets, streams, or the ocean. After the first flush is collected and disposed, the system shall be flow and pressure tested at the requirements for the design criteria in effect at the time of installation or permitting as applicable. This test will only take a couple of minutes at most. Always direct the flow toward the location of drains on the rooftop. The water from the flow rating test will evaporate off the rooftop, which is acceptable because the water is clean after the first flush. Once the test is completed, close the connection of the rooftop standpipe and fill the standpipe to conduct a 1-hour hydrostatic test at the requirements for the design criteria in effect at the time of installation or permitting as applicable. After completion of the test, disconnect the discharge hoses at street level. Direct the flow of water remaining in the hoses toward landscaped areas or other places where infiltration can take place. If no infiltration areas are available, direct the flow towards the street, but ensure the storm drain inlets are covered and the general public is not affected. Failure to follow the proper procedures and laws can result in fines and/or jail time. If someone knowingly violates the law, that individual can face up to 3 years in jail and/or $5,000 to $50,000 per day. If this was subsequent convictions, the individual or organization can face up to 6 years and/or $100,000 per day. Even if you are negligent, the violations are 1 year in jail and/or a $2,500 to $25,000 fine per day. And if it is a subsequent conviction, it would be 2 years in jail and/or $50,000 fine per day. You can do your part to protect our streams and oceans. By following the proper steps for disposing of fire sprinkler test water, you will help to save the environment for yourself, your family, and for future generations.